Test. I don't know what's going on. People are not, people are scared to do the SAS presentation. Is that why, so few people are here? So anyway, how are you guys doing? You hear me?
Yep.
Daniel, you with me? Daniel? So George, did you want to do your SAS? You're the only one here. I'm not sure what to make of that, but you want to do your SAS presentation now? Okay,
I
Daniel.
couldn't get access to the information as I didn't want to spend $10 on the article. Truly.
Okay, so you didn't do it.
No.
$10 is that's too much money.
I don't have a lot to spend usually. So
I'll tell you what, I'll send you my copy and you
sure.
can next time, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
I will do that right now. Hold on.
Because the links you would typically send on Blackboard were just
Yeah,
to buy it.
it's to buy it, yeah. Do you have a job, George?
I do, but rent is expensive.
Yeah, what are you paying? You want to tell me?
2,100 a month.
Do you really?
Yep.
And what do you make a year? If you don't want to tell me, I'm just curious.
It's like 45,000.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Holy shit. When I was making 4,400, I was probably paying like a few hundred a month in rent. I mean, 44,000. That's like, that's like insane. Especially because you're probably paying like a lot in taxes too.
Yep.
I don't know how people make ends meet in this city. I moved up here. I'm in the Catskills. I moved up here in '97. We had an apartment in the city, but it was my father-in-law's, and we were staying there. We didn't pay anything for it. It was an incredible apartment, but he decided to sell it at one point, and we were just up here. But so I've avoided that whole rent thing. But it's crazy. Now I remarried, and my wife wanted a place. She's from Germany, actually, and she always wanted to be in New York. Um, so she prevailed on me to rent a place, and it's like a little phone booth on Bleecker Street, and we're paying 31 for it, which is absolutely insane. But my mortgage is paid off. So it's just we did it for a couple of years, and I could never get real. I could never really get the city. To me it just seemed like an unnecessary cost. But anyway, yeah, I feel for you. So Daniel, did you want to do it? You can't because you have a few more people have shown up. Oh, that's great. Does anyone else need a copy of the SAS case?
I do. I thought it would be sent out since last class, Professor.
Well, I mean, it was available at the Harvard Business Publishing site, but a few people asked for my copy. Who else would like my copy of the case? Do me a favor, George, put your email in the chat and I'll send it right now. Okay. Browse this PC, course materials. is 3240. Yeah, okay. So here I have it. So who else needs a copy of the SAS case?
I sent you my email in the chat, Professor.
Okay, I see yours. I see George.
I sent mine in as well.
Okay, I see a Steve. Hold on. Hey, a Steve. 5782 at gmail.com. Shana Dorman 15 at gmail.com. Raquel Porteous. '72 at bcmail.cuny.edu. G. Coogan Takis at AOL.com. Okay, Daniel, if you want a copy, you can attach it. Charles also. Okay, so we'll delay it one more till after Thanksgiving for these people. Okay, how about Alexis, Asif, Charles? And have you guys prepared the SAS case? Okay, I just sent it, so the ones who put it in the chat can expect to see it like in a second. Hello, Alexa. So I just sent the SAS case to people who needed a copy. If you need one, let me know and I will send you. I mean, you're not supposed to do it. It's like a copyright issue, but you know, you guys can't afford it, so it's not a big deal. Basically, has anyone prepared the SAS thing at this point? So far, Tamid did it. Tamid doesn't seem to be here today, but do I see Tamid? No. All right, I'll take attendance while I'm at it. Okay, so Asif Kahan. Asif, you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, Charles Rowan.
I'm here.
Okay, Charles. George, we just spoke. Raquel, we just spoke. Tashana, we just spoke. Okay, and George messaged me. George, I meant to say Daniel messaged
Oh,
me.
are you able to hear me now, Professor?
Yes, I can, Daniel.
All right, yeah, I'm just using my phone now.
Okay. So the people who are not here, Samaya, Tamid, Nazmo, Erica, Alexis is here. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm here, present, Professor.
Okay, Alexis. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got the four absent: Samaya, Tamid, Nazmo, and Erica. Okay. Has anyone prepared the SAS presentation for today?
Hey, Professor, I don't think I got the email. I don't know if you sent it, but KSC5782 at gmail.com.
Um, hmm. Oh, wait a second, hold on. I have to click something when I send my emails now. That's suddenly became an issue for some reason. Okay, just give it a second. Okay, you should get it within a few minutes. Yeah, the KSC 57821. $57.82. Hold on, let me. Oh, I think I sent it. Hold it. Did I send it to the wrong email? Let me just copy this. Here, let me try again. Okay, see now I think I had an extra one in there. Did everyone get it at this point? It should
Yeah,
be
I received it.
Asif, Tashana, Raquel, and George should have gotten it. Did you get
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I got mine.
George,
Thank
you got, you're welcome. George, did you get yours? George? George? Okay, all right, well. So nobody's got their presentation today? All right, so we'll do it after Thanksgiving.
Professor,
Yes, Asif?
is the presentation just answering the questions, just reading off what you wrote on the discussion board? How do you like the presentation to be done?
Yeah, you can just talk about what you did on the discussion board.
Okay. I mean, I guess if I written the discussion board, I can just speak about what I wrote.
Yes.
Let me just pull it up.
Yeah, if you've done I haven't checked the discussion board yet, but if you've done the
Professor?
discussion board, you could just talk about it, what you said, absolutely. It
Professor, I
doesn't have
didn't
to
get
be fancy.
I didn't get the email. Did you send the email just now?
Yeah, you didn't get it either?
No. Will it take a few minutes? Is that how it works?
Oh, you have BC mail, so you have to check your spam folder.
I
Okay,
did get the email.
What?
okay.
I got it.
You got it, okay.
Okay.
Good.
All right, I'll check it. No problem. Thank you.
Check your spam folder. If you have BC mail, the emails with attachments go to the Barracuda spam folder. So you gotta find the Barracuda spam folder and look in there. Okay, all right, so
You also sent it to me.
see if you wanted to go, Asif, to the SAS thing.
Yeah, I guess I could just read off what I
Yeah,
wrote.
go ahead.
Discussion board.
Go ahead.
So SAS correlation with Porter's five forces of influence, the competitive landscape. I said that relatively low barriers to entry characterizes the software sector, enabling new players to enter the market readily. Potential rivals are determined, however, by SAS' lengthy history in the market and stellar reputation. SAS needs to better substitute since its analytical and data management tools are highly specialized and difficult to replicate. Established giants like Google and Microsoft, startups and open source alternatives create a high competitive market.
Mhm.
Customers have some negotiation leverage, and SaaS typically sells to large institutions like corporations and government.
Very true.
I think high pay encourages employees to concentrate on long-term customer needs.
Mhm.
The differentiation focuses aims to target a specific market. High pay encourages employees to innovate new products. Differentiation promotes innovation and product differentiation, and that encourages long-term employment. increase customer focus and innovation for a particular market.
Good.
Also, to add on, differentiation focus aligns with the focus on long-term engagement. And it focuses on hiring, retaining talent specific to a particular market. SAS is also well known for base pay and merit-based pay compensation structure, which allows the company to pay competitive rates to top employees. The firms also put a premium on offering a generous benefit package, which helps to create a positive and healthy workplace for all employees. It's also well known for cutting edge approaches for hiring and retaining employees. The company's HR strategy is defined by its dedication to employees' pleasure and long-term success, even if the case does not detail on-site amenities.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's
So
that.
you think there was a good match between the HR policies and the business? You said differentiation, focus, strategy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Wait, can you say that question again?
Was there a good match between the HR policies and the business strategy?
Yes. It focuses on retaining employees instead with the merit-based pay and company-wide different companies offer different things, but I think it operates around retaining employees and hiring the top candidates. So
Excellent.
it
Good.
definitely has a correlation of if we hire this employee, how do we retain the employee? How do we make the employee happy? How does this firm compare to another firm? And I definitely think that these top firms look at what other firms are doing, how are they feeling, how are they succeeding in retaining employees, and I mean, people would love to work for top firms on experience, but top firms also pay more. They give better benefits, and yeah, the retention period is yeah.
Very good. Very good. That's a fine presentation. Full credit.
Yeah, I didn't know what to. I thought it was slides, but I guess it was just talking about this.
No, you don't need that. I'm not big on that. I never use them myself, so I don't expect you to. I never really got the point. Sometimes if there's some graphic thing you need, it might be useful, but I think just talking off, directly to people is more effective. So that's great. Anyone else ready yet, or you're still working?
I have my SAS presentation, Professor.
Oh, you do? Okay, great.
Yeah, from the document-based course. The discussion board.
Very good. Go ahead.
All right. So, but first, I stated that SAS operates under Porter's Five Forces as a company with its own that targets its own niche market, where SAS sells a statistical program tailored to companies and enterprises, where other companies in the market would sell to regular individuals, such as regular people or smaller operation centers. SAS would ask its consumers about features and what they like to see with communications, since these are SAS's employees and they know these are SAS's market, so they know how to tailor to them specifically. For the second question, I put SAS business strategy follows a differentiation approach. According to Porter's framework, SAS wanted to differentiate itself from its competitors by selling a highly tailor-made product to its consumers, which is the main corporations, while focusing on quality and business strategies such as employee benefits and incentivize employees to work more efficiently. SAS analyzed and understood its consumers compared to its competitors while investing on its staff and employees that lets them to retain their success.
Very good.
Thinking of firms, SAS in particular, they use, for the first one, a high pay that encourages employees to concentrate on the long-term customer needs, which is a differentiation focus. Payment incentivizes employees in the firm to focus on the company's goal and also satisfy the customer's needs. A high pay encourages employees to innovate new products, and that's a differentiation approach, leading to new products and services inside the market for that company specifically. The low pay cost structure for a firm would allow benefits for their customers to focus on their cost structure. Um, high complex benefits is also a long-term encourages long-term employment, which increases customer focus and innovation of particular like market segment, which is a differentiation focus. Benefits will allow employees to be more efficient, as certain benefits such as medical insurance and stock could promote employee productivity.
Very good.
Staffing, yeah, staffing is a differentiation focus. The firm could also focus on moving rent flexibility into different departments for its associates in the company. Primarily in the SaaS case, the HR policies that were given to the employees were merit pay, which was competitive into the industry, where the merit pay was increased by annually. The benefit packages SaaS employees receive were medical, paid leave. There were also other types of incentives like health clubs and financial assistance. SaaS specifically put their facilities in major cities that were in luxurious areas that allowed their employees to retain focus, and also having the amenities allow them to also retain focus. SaaS HR policies are matched to generic HR strategies, such as employee development, because SaaS HR policies align perfectly with the benefits of lucrative employees. Employees will see the benefits and work more efficiently. That allows allows the company to provide a better service compared to its competitors. And SaaS knows that benefiting and investing in its employees will pay off in the long run.
Great. So is there a good match between the HR policies and the business strategy?
Yes, there's a good match between the HR policies and the business strategy.
Okay, so
Because
briefly tell us what is their business strategy? How is it cost differentiation, focused cost, or focused differentiation?
I would say it would be differentiation, right?
Differentiation, okay. And
Differentiation.
why is that? Why would you say that is?
Because I see it as SaaS is focusing on its employees, and their employees is going to allow them to benefit off of the long run by leading them to, well, they have the one service, which is a statistical program. So if the employees are retaining their focus, it will allow them to provide a better service to the enterprises that's under, SaaS's, that is buying the program from SaaS.
Okay, good job. Just a point of clarification. When I talk about focus strategy or differentiation strategy, we're talking about the product market. So in other words, they're differentiating the product, not that they're treating the employees differently. So basically, differentiation in the product market would mean like you have a product that's got a unique feature. Like what kind of cell phone do you buy, Daniel?
Oh, I have an Apple phone.
You have an Apple. Okay, why did you get Apple?
I got an Apple phone because primarily like on the software they have stuff like GarageBand or editing softwares.
Okay,
So
so
yeah, that's why I
like
have.
the software. Okay,
Yeah.
so that differentiates Apple from
Oh yeah,
right?
Samsung, other competitors.
Right. So that would be a differentiation strategy. You didn't care that much about the price. Like, is Apple more or less expensive than the other ones?
It was more expensive.
It was more expensive. So
Mhm.
you're willing to pay more for a similar product because there's something different about it.
Yes.
That's a
Oh, and that
differentiation strategy. All right.
okay, that makes sense.
All right.
Compared to like where SaaS has a tailor-made product that's for its niche, which is like, the companies,
Yeah,
So SAS will have something better in the software that other competitors won't have.
right. Yeah. So in other words, why do all these companies, there's like thousands of companies, 8,000, I think it is, or something. You can look up on the web right now what SAS's client base is as of today. The case was a long time ago, but they're still doing similar things. And the the reason all these big companies hire them is there's something different that they can. I'm not saying that Google couldn't do a lot of what SAS does, but they would have to hire a whole new group of employees. They would have to learn how to do it. Google's got a lot of smart people working there, but they're not statisticians and mathematicians and things like that that focus on statistical applications. All right, so there's something unique about SAS that the other ones can't quite duplicate. Of course, if you're like a small business person and you need some statistical analysis, you need to tabulate things and stuff like that, you could just buy Excel, Microsoft Excel. So in a way, that's a competitor, but it doesn't do anything like, with SAS, you can use all kinds of complex multivariate statistical programs and things that are tailored to the needs of the different business disciplines. So they focus on what analysts need and then provide software that meets those needs. So that's what's differentiating about it. And you could argue differentiation. You could argue also focus differentiation. I think those are the two best. Sometimes students say cost, which I just don't get why anyone would think it's cost. They spend a huge amount on research and development, and they pay premium salaries and high benefits. It's there's nothing cost about it. They're selling a unique product. It's like Apple in that way.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
They're selling a unique product, so people are willing to spend the money for that unique product, regardless. The companies.
exactly. Good, very good. We're all doing a great job today. Question, Asmal?
Oh no, I was hoping I could go next if that is okay.
You're ready? Okay, sure. Go right ahead.
Yes.
By the way, those who came late, excuse me for interrupting, those who came late who didn't hear the conversation in the beginning, I said if you weren't able to get a hold of the SAS case because of cost issues, financial issues, I would be happy to email you my copy. So if you would like a copy, a few people have put their email addresses in the chat, and I've emailed it to them. Okay, Alexis. Oh, maybe I didn't send it to Alexis. Hold on. Oh no, I have to. Okay, let me send it to Alexis. Yeah, Charles, you see what people are doing. It's just, discussing what you've already written on the discussion board. Okay, Alexis, I'm sending it to you right now. All right, you should get it in a minute. Oh wait, I have to do my send and receive thing. Okay, it just was sent to you, so. Okay. Asif should get it in a minute also if you haven't gotten it.
Yeah, I just got it.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sure. So let's Nazmal was saying you wanted to go too.
Yes,
Nazmal,
sure.
sorry to interrupt. Go
Yeah.
right ahead.
Good morning. This is my analysis on the SAS case. So number one, describe the environment in which SAS operates in terms of Porter's five forces. Number one is ease of entry. It is possible for a startup company to develop and offer software products. However, SAS Institute has strong reputation and long history, which makes it very difficult for new interests to compete with it and settle with the settled brand and customer pool. Sustainability. There are many alternatives available in the software industry as different companies offer similar products and services. However, SAS Institute has many software products and also a strong focus on customer satisfaction, which makes it very hard to be replaced. As the price points also switch depending on the competition. Competitive rivalry. SAS Institute faces competition from companies like Oracle, etc. However, SAS Institute is different because of its management philosophy, emphasis on customer feedback, and they have a big product line, which makes them very diverse and customers more. It gives customers more of an option to buy their products if they don't like one product. However, the rivalry affects this rivalry also affects price changes, which competition can usually decrease prices. Bargaining power of buyers. Buyers in the software industry have some bargaining power and alternative solutions and vast product lines in different price ranges. However, SAS Institute Institute's strong reputation and high customer satisfaction and its focus on meeting customer needs is likely to reduce the bargaining power of potential buyers. This usually causes prices to go down. Bargaining power of suppliers. This can affect the quality of the product and how you handle your relationships, just to make yourself more pristine and reputable. Number two is also in the Porter's framework, what broad generic business strategy. So I think SAS Institute is pursuing a differentiation strategy. Differentiation strategy means to offer uniqueness in products and services that are perceived unreplaceable by customers. The SAS Institute differentiates itself from its competitors by their management practices. It focuses on customer satisfaction, feedback, and having a big product line. This focus on providing good service. They make their software products. They make their software products to meet the needs of the people. So they pretty much tailor their software products for the buyer's convenience. And this focus on achieving great quality. Furthermore, SAS Institute, Institute also emphasizes on motivation, trusting their employees, and focusing on building employee relationships rather than like criticizing them. Also, using the differentiation strategy, the company prioritizes its relationship with employees to strive for a healthy, fun work environment, which leads to the differentiation in the software industry. Overall, SAS emphasis on differentiation sets it apart from its competitors, allows it to make itself a unique provider, and build a good, healthy culture. Number three is high pay that encourages employees to concentrate on long-term customer needs. Differentiation strategy, of course, as it attracts to keep employees from leaving, to retain them. This is for the employees to grow from within and have better customer service and just build within, just so they can help the customers and really know the company from within. High pay that encourages employees to innovate new products and features is differentiation strategy, because it encourages employees to come up with new ideas and develop new products that differentiate themselves from other competitors.
Right.
Low
Yeah.
pay that reduces the firm's cost structure is cost strategy, of course. This policy is like the cost strategy that focus on reducing costs by offering lower pay to employees helps the firm be more competitive by achieving lower prices. High levels of complex benefits, yada yada yada. as differentiation strategy. This policy with differentiation strategy as it aims to provide good benefits and attract the employees, excuse me, um, employees for long-term employment, customer focus, and innovation. Staffing processes that are expensive but yield long-term employees is differentiation. Oh my gosh, focus strategy as it focuses on hiring and keeping employees with specific skills and expertise and keeping them for a long time. R&D spending, differentiation strategy from the competitors. It emphasizes on investing heavily in research and development to create and innovate unique products or services that differentiate them from other competitors, which can drive up the cost, as you said a little earlier. Zero spending on R&D cost strategy. This policy aligns itself with the cost strategy as it focuses on minimizing costs. This approach aims to compete based on lower prices rather than product innovation or differentiation. Number 4. What are some of the HR policies as stated in the case? So number 1 is base pay. SAS Institute offers competitive base salaries to its employees. The document says that the salaries are adjusted regularly to be in line with the industry standards. Merit pay. SAS provides merit-based increases in salaries. Employees find out about their merit increases in December, and the new salary starts in January. The increase is based on the performance assessments, of course, which encourages the employees to do better. Benefits. SAS offers a comprehensive benefit package. They provide benefits like gym, cafe, healthcare. This creates like a beautiful work environment, like the one differentiation strategy preaches. This encourages employee satisfaction and productivity, encourages them to stay in the office. It's a great strategy, I think. Staffing process. SAS Institute receives a lot of employment applications because of his reputation, of course, and it's a great place to work. Just like everybody wanted to work for Henry Ford back in the days, you know.
Yeah.
The company, yeah, like the company recruits mostly locally. They want to keep people. They want to keep the culture. They want to keep people in that area, so they don't have to commute a lot, whatnot. On-site facilities. SAS Institute provides a comfortable work setting for its employees. Everyone has a private gym, cafes, daycare, which is insane. And I think they mentioned something about having like own not a cubicle, but like kind of like a room. I think like having their own sectors to work in. I forgot what it was. Profit sharing. SAS contributes the maximum amount of maximum allowed for profit sharing and retirement plans for employees, which is absolutely insane. Which a lot of companies are doing nowadays, like sharing, like giving them stocks and to invest in. Number 7, SAS like to be specific with the hires and prefer people from certain background and interest only. SAS Institute values cultural fit and emphasizes on who will fit in that company culture. Number 5, explain why the specific HR policies at SAS are not a match for generic HR strategy policy, which we just touched on. High pay for innovation. They provide high pay for employees who innovate new products. This aligns with the differentiation strategy. It encourages employees to think creatively and make new, unique products, which can set SAS apart from the market. Complex benefits for long-term employment. Customer focus and innovation. They offer great benefits, encourage long-term employment and healthcare. This relationship with the company will translate to the customers and work output. Overall, these specific HR policies at SAS Institute follow the differentiation strategy by attracting, keeping company employees who are customer focused, innovative, and fit the culture. This is a winning formula, in my opinion. Every workplace should be like this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you can't really have every excellent presentation, by the way. You covered all the bases. Very good. you can't really have every workplace like that because not everyone has that kind of differentiation focus type strategy that, you pay premium amounts. A lot of workplaces are more cost focused or don't have the degree of differentiation that SAS has. So you really can't duplicate that everywhere. But of course, it's a very useful strategy for the companies that do have extreme differentiation. What kind of HR do you is Brooklyn College working at Brooklyn? Maybe someone in the class works at Brooklyn College. If you work at Brooklyn College, would you say it's a cost differentiation or focus strategy for the HR? What would you guess?
I would say cost differentiation.
Well, it's either cost or differentiation.
Cost for sure.
Yeah, I would say cost. Although, I mean, they do try to have some elements of differentiation, but of course, the more you do cost, the less you can do differentiation. But they're pretty good at getting, part of it's the nature of academic culture, but it's the location also. There's some inherently differentiating variables, but I think overall it's a cost strategy. I haven't noticed any free cafeteria or things like that. So anyway, anyone else want to go? We're on a roll here. We have any other people who are interested in presenting today? Charles?
Professor, can I go next?
Yes, Charles.
Okay. For number one, for the environment in which SAS operates in terms of Porter's five forces, for the ease of entry, SAS operates in the software sector, and it's relatively easy for people to enter it because they just have to start a software company. For substitutability, SAS offers a wide range of software products, which makes it hard to substitute as a whole because other software companies are only able to offer a part of what SAS has to offer. For the competitive rivalry, SAS has many competitors in various segments of its business. Some of these competitors include SPSS, Oracle, Sybase, Thinking Machine, and Microsoft. For the bargaining powers of buyers, I think that the customers has a very high bargaining power because SAS does their best to satisfy their customers. Also, every year, SAS sends out ballots to their customers to collect feedback so they could improve their product and implement features that the customers wants to see. SAS focuses on long-term sales instead of short-term, so they rather sell their products to customers at a low price or even for free instead of losing them to their competitors. For bargaining power of suppliers, the bargaining powers of suppliers is extremely low because SAS avoids outsourcing and the use of contractors. In the article, Barrett Joyner, who's a part of SAS, he believes that jobs are done at a higher quality when you own it. For their business strategy in terms of Michael Porter's framework, SAS pursues a differentiation strategy because they offer a wide range of software products than other software companies. SAS's products are also more advanced than their competitors' products and offers features that their customers want to see. They also have customers test unreleased software, which is like rarely done by other companies. For number three, high pay that encourages employees to focus on long-term customer needs is a differentiation strategy because it focuses on long-term sales rather than short-term. High pay that encourages employees to innovate new features is a differentiation strategy because it incentivizes employees to develop better products than its competitors. Low pay that reduces the firm's cost structure is cost leadership because it is reducing the cost spent to provide the product to customers. High levels of complex benefits that encourages long-term employment, increase customer focus and innovation for a particular market segment is differentiation focus because the company is focusing on long-term sales for that specific market segment. Staffing processes that are expensive but yield long-term employees is a differentiation focus strategy because it aims to hire talented employees for a specific market segment. And R&D spending that is highest in the industry is differentiation because it allows the business to develop more advanced products than their customers, than their competitors. Zero spending on R&D is cost leadership because it minimizes the company's expenses to make the product. And for number 4, for SaaS's HR policies, one of their HR policies is to not emphasize financial incentives. Not emphasizing financial incentives leads to greater short-term sales. I mean, emphasizing financial incentives leads to greater short-term sales, but neglects long-term relationships. So that's why they don't incentivize it. SaaS also offers a competitive base pay and yearly merit increases, as well as many other employee benefits such as financial assistance and free use of medical facilities. They also offer like to their, if they have like children in school, they also offer them like scholarships and stuff. This helps create a healthy and fun working environment for the employees, which is important for low turnover rates. And for number 5, for their SaaS pursues a differentiation HR strategy. Its HR policies are a match for the strategy because its competitive base pay and yearly merit increases help attract talented employees. Their wide range of benefits also help retain the employees by keeping them healthy and happy. And de-emphasizing the incentives allow them to focus on building long-term relationships with customers instead of focusing on a lot of short-term sales, which neglects their relationship. And I feel that all these policies support their HR strategy of differentiation because it makes the companies stand out from its competitors for the employees and for the customers.
Excellent. That's really great, Charles. You also did a really good job and you hit on all the main points. Very good. So we've so far, Samaya, are you prepared today? Samaya? Erica's not here. George said next time. Alexis next time. Tashana next time. And Raquel next time. So, Samaya.
Hello?
Yes, Samaya, do you want to present today?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. Did you want to present on the sales case?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I understand you have a grievance.
Just give me 1 second. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so basically what we'll do, so the four people who haven't gone yet, Erica's absent, everyone else. Today's got the best attendance of the semester except for the first day, so online obviously gets better attendance, but we can't just do it. I had an emergency today, but basically I'm gonna, for the rest of the time, I'll talk a little bit about last time I was talking, I got started on health, on welfare plans, I think. Oh, no. I was talking about pension plans. I said I would talk about welfare plans this time. So we'll talk about that, finish up employee benefits a little. Samaya, did you want to go or do you want to wait? Okay,
Yeah, I'll go right now.
go ahead.
Okay. So SaaS performs in a competitive work environment. It's put into place to make business stand out from other businesses and earn loyalty and drive from the workers. Each 5 forces can be used to guide business strategy to increase number of company rivals, new market entrants, new suppliers, new customers, and new products that will elevate profitability. For ease of entry, I wrote that creating brand loyalty and welcoming new suppliers and customers, company expectations and requirements, and government policies. For substitutability, I wrote switching costs, substitute products, price performance after substitutes, competitive rivalry, most powerful force, differentiation between companies, number of competitors rise, and sales and prices will be affected. Bargaining powers of buying, drive prices down, how many customers, relationship to customers, and employees. Bargaining powers of suppliers, services and products, relationship to suppliers, and product quality.
Good.
And I think SaaS is pursuing a differentiation strategy. Michael Porter focuses on being unique and making his company unique to increase company rivalry. He works on long-term employee and customer relationships. He manages to make a comfortable work environment to promote better working outcomes. He focuses on customer service and higher quality products to achieve that differentiation from his rivalries.
Okay.
Um, for number 3, do I explain that one because it says to match?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So for number 1, high pay that encourages employees to concentrate on long-term customer needs. I said that this is differentiation focus because the focus is on the customer's needs.
Mm-hmm.
High pay that number 2, high pay that encourages employees to innovate new product features. I said that was differentiation to make different quality products is making the company more unique.
Mm-hmm.
For number 3, low pay that reduces the firm's cost structure. I said cost because of the low pay.
Wait. What low pay? Now I'm confused. What you're talking about SaaS? Samaya?
Um, yeah.
So what kind of pay does SAS have?
Sorry, I'm just confused because isn't this the where you match the strategies?
Well, yeah, but we're applying it specifically to SAS. The SAS case.
Oh yeah.
So what kind of HR policies do they have?
One sec. They have like safety and supply benefits for their employees. They have like merit and base pay. And that's like a prime example of a benefit plan given by HR. It's given to promote competitiveness within the company. So employees will work harder and have a drive to earn extra money on top of their salary. SAS benefit plan examples include right to bereavement leave, right to sick leave, right to annual leave, health benefits, bonuses, etc.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, anyone else want to go at this point? Okay, so I'm still waiting for the four. Erica, George, Alexis, and Tashana. Oh, five. Erica, George, Alexis, Tashana, and Raquel. Erica's not here. Okay, everyone who presented did well. There's nothing to worry about. When everyone's presented, I'll post the grades. And all right, so are there any questions at this point? I sent a copy of the SAS case to a number of students who needed it. Okay, so for the rest of today, I'm going to talk a little bit about health. Last time I was talking about employee benefits, we got started and I started specifically on, I talked a bit about ESOPs. I talked about leveraged ESOPs and I talked about the difference between defined benefit plans and defined contribution plans. And I said defined contribution plans are your 401k plans, whereas your defined benefit plans would be a fixed payment, an annuity or fixed payment that you receive upon retirement. And the benefit is fixed based on salary and years of service. It doesn't have to be salary and years of service, but most firms, especially white collar groups within firms, have the benefit based on years of service and final average salary. They might take the last 5 years, the last 3 years. The thing is that most employers have terminated their defined benefit plans and replace them with defined contribution plans. And the reason for that, I think, is there's a few reasons, but one is simply cost control. That if you have a defined contribution plan, you know what your contributions are every year, and that ends your liability. In a defined benefit plan, you have potential liability over long periods of time. And the government employees tend to have defined benefit plans much more commonly than the private sector employers. But what's happened with the public sector plans is that a lot of them are underfunded. So in other words, they promise a benefit, but they don't put the money in to cover it. If you look at the percentage of public sector pension plans, so this would be like town plans, the people that the New York City Fire Department plan, the state teachers plan, it could be state, it could be local, it could be city, and federal plans as well. If the postal workers, and I don't know how their pension works. I think there's like a general So the current average is that on average, American public pension plans currently hold 77% of assets needed to pay future retirees their pension benefits. This is a positive improvement over 72.8% in 2019, but much lower than the 83.9% in 2021. So basically, you're talking an underfunding of about 20%. It's not, I wouldn't call that fatal, but it needs to be addressed. In other words, the way they do it, the way you should do it, is the actuary projects the pension costs and then computes the amount you need to contribute each year to cover the costs. To the extent that there's a shortfall in the fund, in other words, the normal cost won't cover the total liability because the fund is below where it would be using the projections that the actuary uses. You would then take the difference, the underfunding, and annuitize it over 10 years. So you would say, well, how much do I need to fund over 10 years to cover it? And so basically that's how you do it. And hopefully they're doing it that way. But my experience is I actually worked on this issue for the New York State Assembly in 1991. It was a long time ago, 32 years ago now. It doesn't seem that long to me, but it is. But basically, when I worked there, they were looking for ways to not fund the plan. In other words, they wanted to do the minimum. And the reason for that is that they wanted to use the money to buy votes, obviously. If you tell people, well, you have a pension plan, they're satisfied. They don't know anything about funding. So you fund it as little as possible. And then you say, oh, new this benefit, new that benefit. New bridge or new boondoggle or whatever, and the voters all love it. So the politicians have very little interest in stability. I was glad, actually, I'm a little glad that it's 77%. It could be a lot worse. But it's obviously not fully funded, and it basically, if markets collapse, the public plans are going to be a real problem. Social Security is similar in the sense that the politicians have done a dismal job of stewardship. There's a demographic part. Social Security doesn't have a fund. There's a Social Security trust fund, and people talk about it, but it's got a limited amount of funding in it, maybe usually it's like a year or two of funding, and nobody conceives of it as like a pre-funded plan the way a pension plan is supposed to be. It's not a pre-funded plan.
Professor,
Yes.
I have a question. So is there like a maximum amount the employer can match for the pension? Because for example, and I don't know if you can negotiate that percent. For example, I work in the DOE, which is a public entity. So are you allowed to negotiate that percentage that they match?
I don't know the plan. If you want, give me the URL and we can go over it. Basically, every plan is different. So some plans don't allow employees to contribute. Other plans require it. Usually, but not always, defined benefit plans are not contributory. So the employees would not, if it's a defined benefit plan, you probably don't contribute to it. But it depends on the plan. You could. If it's a defined contribution plan, like a 403B, like sort of a 401k type thing, then most of the time employees would contribute. Okay, so you could have a defined contribution plan that's just employer funded. It wouldn't be a 401k, it would just be a defined contribution plan funded by the employer. So I'd have to see the plan. Each plan is different, and that's a lot of what the benefits people do in a company is they work, they talk to the management, they make clear what the options are. Do you want the employees to feel that they will have a pension when they retire, or do you want them to, ride with the stock market, or do you want to control costs, or do you want to have something that makes the employees feel safer? So, there's a lot of possible ways to handle a plan. So, I mean, if you want to go over it with me, you could get the booklet, or it's probably online, and we could just go over. If you want to do it right now, I think it would be instructive for the class to see what a real plan looks like if you want to do that. So I can't
Yeah, I
really
can pull it out.
until I see the plans.
All right. Thank you. I'll give it to you in a bit.
Yeah, no rush. Even next week if you want. I think it would be interesting to go over it. The other people can see. Not everyone has seen a plan. If you work in a place that has some kind of retirement plan, they're required to give you disclosure, including the summary plan description. Usually that would probably be online now, and you would be able to read it. The thing is, most employees don't read those things. They're complicated, even for people who work in it. It's a fairly complicated subject. And for people who don't work with it, it's as dull as dishwater. So, nobody really reads those things. And, certain people do. I'm not gonna say nobody, but, it's a small percentage. There are some people who are really interested and want to know what their benefits are, and that's fine. That's good. But most people don't. And they're surprised when the time comes. They don't realize. In general, I think Nasmal is asking the right question. You should know whether your plan in your company requires employee contributions, and if so, especially if it's a tax deferred plan, a 401k plan, or a 403b, where you use pre-tax money to contribute to the plan, you should max out that contribution. I know it's hard because, I was just talking before most people got here with somebody, and we're talking about how high rents are in the city now. And, with high rent and high taxes, the taxes are always high in the city. And so, you put it all together and it's impossible to save money. But I don't know what the solution is, but you should be saving 15 to 20% of your income. And you should start at a young age. Like ideally you would start the day you start working, and you would put away 15 to 20. If you do that, you will have a lot to retire on. You'll have a decent retirement. If you don't do that, you won't. So, it's the onus is largely on you. That's the thing about the SAS case. They were putting away for them 15% into the fund. I think that was 15% of profit, if I recall. But still, I mean, if you look at it as a percentage of pay, it would probably be pretty high, above 15%. And you want to do that. Okay, so that makes it easy if the company's doing it for you. The problem is that most defined contribution plans, as I said last week, are not fully paid for by the firm. They're mostly paid for by the employee with a supplement by the firm. So, if the firm might pay 3% and the employee has to pay 6 to get the 3. And a lot of people say, okay, 9%, that's good enough. It's not. Really, what you should be putting in is if they're putting in 3, you should put in 12. So, that's just a ballpark. It could be less or more. A lot depends on what type of investments you go into, and we could spend all year talking about that. But basically, the stock market has the highest returns. And if you look at the last, century, the best returns are just put in an index fund. It could be, you don't have to just put it in one. You could put it in multiple index funds. Like you could put it in the S&P 500. You could put it in the small cap Russell 2000. Small cap, you could put it in the mid cap. I forget what that's called, but there's a bunch of different mid cap ones, and sometimes those perform the best, the mid caps. And you can put growth or value or whatever, and you could also have international. So you put it into a few different things, and don't move it around a lot. Just leave it be, especially if you start out when the market's low, which could happen in the next couple of years because of the interest rate increases that have occurred. You just keep putting it in, and I wouldn't play too many games with it. Bonds fell recently, but a lot, there's still room for them to fall. So I wouldn't like go in with both hands and like put a huge amount into bonds, but it's not too soon. The idea of dollar cost averaging is that you put in a little every month. So you as it goes down, your account goes down a little, but when you're buying it at a lower price, it's cheaper. So if bonds are down, you're putting in bonds, it's going down, and then at some point they bottom, and then they start to go up again. So you just got to be patient, not look at it day to day. I do that myself, but it's really not a good idea. And the reason you don't want to look at it day to day is that the daily fluctuations in the market are largely meaningless. It's even not that meaningful like year to year. I would say the kind of system we have, the market's eventually going to go up again. It could take a few years, but it'll go up again. So the best thing to do in a down market is just keep putting it in. Especially, I'm talking about index funds. I'm not talking about specific companies. With specific companies, it's a different story. You have to do a little analysis or subscribe to like Value Line or something like that. And basically, follow their advice, but they're not going to be right all the time either. Like Value Line's a good service. They evaluate stocks and tell you which ones are the better ones, but they're wrong some of the time. You're never going to be right. Nobody knows everything about, there could be secrets in a company that no one knows about. Enron. So when I subscribed to Value Line about 20 years ago, I mean, it's a good thing. I don't mean to knock it, but they did not foresee the collapse of Enron, for example. So basically, I think they were saying market perform on Enron or something like that, or maybe even above. And and then it collapsed. So they don't always get it right, but that's why you have the basic idea in a 401k plan when you put your money in, and you should know this word, is diversification. That you don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you invest in a range of different things. So you put in, you put in the S&P 500, and you put in the Russell 2000, and you put in the mid caps, and you put in some bonds, and you put in international, and you buy some stocks, but you don't put everything into a few stocks. You put like 2% of your holdings in one stock, 2% in another stock. So you have 40 stocks or 50 stocks, and so you have some funds, some stocks, and different kinds. You don't just buy tech. which a lot of people like tech, it's because it's done so well. But you don't want to just have that. The thing about tech is it does really, really well for an extended period, and then suddenly it collapses and it goes back to, it goes back to ground zero. And then you have to, the time to buy is when, of course, when no one else is buying. That's the famous thing, buy when there's blood in the streets. If it's collapsing, and back in the 20 years ago, the QQQ is the tech index. And it was like, I forget what, I can look it up right now. It was like 100 or something like that. And I put in a buy for it at 35. So, it was like, I didn't think it would ever reach that. So like, this was back in, so it was like 109 or something. And I put in a buy at 35, a limit order, that's called. I didn't think I would ever get it. I just assumed, but sure enough, within a year, he kept it on there. Usually, sometimes they expire in a period, but so it would have been in October of 01 or so. It's funny, God, it's funny to see that. He calls me, the broker called me and said, "Oh, you know what, you still have that limit order you want?" I said, "Holy, I didn't think it would ever do it." So I said, "All right, buy it." But it kept falling, and it fell to 17, the QQQ, if I recall. It fell by half, whatever the number was. It was roughly half. And I just rode that, and so I lost half. I mean, I bought near the bottom, but it still fell by another half. I mean, that's how high it was. And so it then rode up, and within a few years, I made money on it and I sold it. I shouldn't have, because like right now, it's 3 times what it was then. So, but it had ups and downs in between. So, a lot of people will buy, they'll buy Nvidia or, the new hot tech thing. And it's fine a little bit, but you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I saw people back then who bought, they bought like huge amounts of these internet stocks that were very attractive at that point in history. And there were all companies you never heard of because they all went bankrupt. So my wife's friend at that time put all her money into something. It was some crazy internet thing. I can't remember the name. And she lost everything. It went completely bankrupt, and then that was not unusual. So people were making all kinds of crazy bets because the stocks were going up so high. And, you see that now with some of the AI stocks like Nvidia. I'm not saying it's going to collapse tomorrow, but, sooner or later, these things fizzle out. But, I think the time to buy tech is when it collapses, and it goes through these cycles. If you go back to 1929, at that time, the tech would have been radio and cars. And, those stocks were really hot in the late 20s. And, people bought it at the peak. And, the RCA, Radio Corporation of America, never came back to where it had been, in the summer of 1929, back by, I think it was bought up in like 1990 or something. I don't think it had ever come back, or if it did, it was only in the 80s. It was like 50, 60 years later, so it was insane. And it was a similar story to Cisco Systems, which had a huge popularity in that internet bubble around 2000. It's a perfectly good company. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, the stock was way overvalued and it collapsed. They're still doing fine as a company, but the stock's not worth them. It wasn't worth, if they were smart, the people that worked there would have sold it. Of course, they probably didn't, because it would have meant admitting that the company wasn't worth that much, which it wasn't. But It's okay. So in any case, there's a lot to think about with employee benefits. And one last point, ERISA is the law that governs these plans. So when you are covered by a retirement plan, or for that matter, a welfare plan, in other words, an insurance plan, ERISA regulates what the company is allowed to do. And every company has a staff of benefit people if they give benefits. Yeah, I'm talking about big companies. Little companies, they'd outsource it or hire an insurance company. But the big companies have people who understand this. Even if they outsource most of the plan operations, they're going to have to make decisions, and they're going to need in-house people who understand this. And so basically, ERISA was passed in 1974, signed by, I think it was signed by Ford. It was after Nixon had resigned. It was part of, like, Nixon had passed a lot of regulatory stuff. He was a big government guy. He had passed a lot of, like, EPA and all that kind of thing. And this was OSHA was another one, and ERISA was. It was proposed, if I recall, by Jacob Javits, who was also a Republican New York senator, and it does a number of useful things, but it doesn't really help employees. I don't know how useful it is. I said useful. I don't know. It's regulate. It's paperwork. A lot of it. I don't know how useful. I don't think it is useful. But anyway, it set up rules about plan funding that I was just talking about. Like, they have to fund the normal cost, the accrued cost over 30 years, and then the unfunded liabilities have to be amortized over, as I was saying, like, I think it's 5 or 10 years. And so they had, like, rules about funding. You have to have actuaries projecting the defined benefit cost. And this was part of the reason why defined benefit plans, I started to say why defined benefit plans have been terminated. And part of it was this regulation. The company said, why spend all this money on regulation? You just have a defined contribution plan and not comply, not worry about it. It also set up rules about plan disclosure. And it said you have to have the summary of the annual report and plan documents. It set up trust requirements. So in other words, the companies can't hold the money in their pocket. They have to set up a trust, and the trust holds the money. So if the company goes bankrupt, the pension money is secure. And there are a lot of rules about that, about the trust. It said that the plans can be sued. The company can be sued. Let's say if it doesn't abide by the plan requirements. And it also set up termination insurance for defined benefit plans. It also set up termination plans, sort of like the FDIC. It's called the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation. It's perennially underfunded. And then they also said rules about service and vesting. So if you have a pension plan, you have to vest. In other words, the employee is entitled to the benefit after a couple of years. And that's called vesting. And it also set up service rules that you have to be credited with service if you work a certain number of hours a year. And breaks in service don't cancel out your prior service if the break is shorter than the prior service, then it counts. And there's some other more complicated ways to handle breaks and credit service. So that's some of the things ERISA did. And it set up a lot of rules about fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty is the idea of fiduciary duty is that there's a relationship of trust. Okay, it's the same thing as saying a trust, fiduciary, a trustee. And a fiduciary, every employee is a fiduciary. So, like, if you work, let's say you go to work for Coca-Cola, and they have the secret formula for Coca-Cola, and everybody knows that Coca-Cola's got the secret formula for Coca-Cola. And you go to work there and you become like the head mixer and you learn the formula. You can't turn around and say, I'm going to sell this formula to another company. If you do, they'll sue you for everything you're worth and then some. Because basically you have a fiduciary duty to the company. You can't breach that legal obligation. And there's also rules about trade secrets, that it's a tort to steal trade secrets. So the company that pays you for those trade secrets is also going to be liable if you steal it. So getting back to ERISA, ERISA says that the people who handle the assets of the plans have a sense of duty, have to have a duty to the plan, to the employees. That the part of that related to it is ERISA has what's called the exclusive benefit rule. It's really just a statement of fiduciary duty that the assets in the plan shall only be used for the exclusive benefit of employees, and any kind of self-dealing, meaning that a fiduciary uses the assets for some personal gain or something like that, would be illegal. And some of this has criminal penalties attached as well. So ERISA is very complicated. I worked in it for 9.5 years. I was still getting my mind blown. I actually took a master's degree at the College of Insurance, and I took courses in life insurance, and I took an employee benefits class, and I took a number of different kinds of insurance classes, finance and other things. And I was really just, I worked in it where you get the real knowledge, and I was just scratching the surface of it. There's so much to it. I read a couple of actuarial books, and it's a very, very complicated field, and one that I think is quite interesting. There's nothing wrong with it. The trouble is it gets little attention, and like a lot of things that are very technical, it gets shunted to the side. So let me now move into health insurance, which is equally important. So I said last time that there are two basic areas of employee benefit administration. Welfare plans. So that would be insurance, vacations, things like that, and pension plans. And the pension plans are the defined benefit, defined contribution, and also stock bonus plans. Okay, so basically talking about the welfare plans, which kind of insurance is the most important one nowadays? Of all the insurances that you can get at a company. Anyone? George? Who started? I'm sorry, who started talking?
Health insurance?
Yes, of course. Health insurance. Do you have it at your place, Asif?
Yeah, I do. I work for Optimum. So we have depending on your preference, we have premiums. So if you pay say you pay $50 a month, your copay would be much higher, but say you pay like $200 a month, your copay would be much less, but there will always be a copay.
Right.
Like those are the type of plans we have. I know of dental is much cheaper and vision is much cheaper than health insurance, but
Yeah.
health in specifics is like it's $200 a month, but it only covers like $3,000 up to $3,000, and then after that you still have to pay out of pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, a
We
lot
we
yeah.
have vision too, and we have dental. I just got glasses the other day, and my wife wanted these fancy frame glasses. I had to pay for them out of pocket. You know, it covered the exam and the lenses, but not, you know, the designer, which is understandable because they're very expensive, you know, those things. But yeah, health insurance is very important. Dental, a little less so. Life insurance, people don't care that much about. I mean, it's a good little benefit, but it's usually not the main concern. A lot of people are worried about health insurance, and for good reason, because healthcare costs are astronomically high, and they're always rising over time, often much faster than inflation.
Yeah, I also noticed that some companies
Professor.
like people are willing to take a pay cut, like salary wise, also for benefits like health insurance. So like free health insurance, but take 20,000 off your salary. People just think it's worth it. So I guess depending on how many times you go to the doctors as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's a big issue.
Professor.
Yeah.
I just emailed you the retirement match
Okay.
and the health benefits.
Okay, so let's look at Nasmo's plan.
So the thing is that my job, I started off in the DOE Department of Education, but since they're in a partnership with Bard, I sent you the Bard one because the DOE one, they don't have like a pamphlet for it. It's more like in like our website. So I would have to log into my personal information to access and show you, which I don't think I can do over the class.
Okay. Yeah.
So I sent you
That's fine.
the Bard one.
Just the
So,
general plan. We don't need to see your personal data.
yeah. No. So I was only able to send you my Bard one, which is the private, like Bard is like a private college.
Uh-huh.
But
They
I
don't
was
care if you show the plan. They
no. I sent it
no
to you, but I can't.
individuals.
Yeah. No. But I can't send you the DOE one, the Department of Education, the public one. That one is not like in like a pamphlet. Like I can't send it to you. Like you know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
have not gotten your email yet. As soon as I'll keep an eye peeled for it when it comes. I've been having a little delays on my email for some reason. I get all this
yeah.
junk email, but
No, it's not from my Bart my Brooklyn email. It's from my personal email, Gmail.
yeah. You sent it to mlangbert@hvc.org.com or to the Brooklyn one.
I sent it to Mitchell Lambert at brooklyn.cuny.edu.
Oh, you sent it to the Brooklyn one. Okay. Maybe we'll get that. I think I'm gonna have to fish that out of this Barracuda folder. So maybe we'll do that next week, next time.
All right.
Yeah, could you send it to mlangbert@hvc.org.com?
Yeah.
I'll type it in the.
Okay.
If you'd send it there, we can do it right now.
Okay.
Here, I'm typing it in this chat. Okay, so all right, so while Nasmal's doing that, let's talk a little bit about healthcare. It's a huge area also. It's of interest, not just, of course, to corporate benefits people, but the healthcare field is like a huge part of the American economy. You're talking healthcare as a percentage of the American economy. You're talking close to 20% at this point. So it's immense business. And it's very troubled business, 18.3%. and costs are increasing all the time. When I was in your shoes in a college, the percentage was probably 7%. So it as a percentage of GDP, it's tripled in my lifetime. It's a total mess. And if you look at so if you look at 2020 to present, I'm just looking it up on the web. Healthcare costs decreased during 2020 and rose 5.3% in 2023, in 2021. And then wait, I'm having trouble reading that. Okay, so
Professor,
yeah, go ahead.
your email you didn't type in the chat.
I didn't?
No, I don't see it.
Hold on. You don't see it here? Oh, I see. You're right. I sent it to Raquel for some reason. Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
Let me send it to everybody. Yeah, here goes. And okay, here you go. Okay, yes, well, we should see it now. So, what I was just looking at is how healthcare increased over time, and so it's going up about the rate of inflation right now. The average cost of healthcare in 2023 is going up 5.6%, which is actually faster than inflation. What is the average cost? I'm looking at something called the Milliman Medical Index. $31,000 a year is the 2023 cost of healthcare for a family of 4. Okay, so if you look at 21, it was 28.3 thousand. In 22, it was 29.4 thousand, and in 2023, it was 31.1 thousand. So the current inflation didn't affect this as much as some other things, but it's for many years it's gone up at double the rate of inflation, and the cost is astronomical. It's 31,000 is almost 50% of the average person's the average household income in America. The median household income in America is I think 70,000 currently, 74.5. So 31,000 is, it's almost half of median household income. Who can afford that? And if you're in the lower echelon, you're like making 50,000 a year household income, or 40,000, or you're single. The 74 household income includes, like, a lot of families have 2 working spouses. If you are alone, you may be below that, and so your health care might be as high as 60% of your pay. This is insane. And so basically, health insurance is a very important benefit. I've been lucky. I've worked in the primary sector all my life for corporate America and then academia. And I briefly worked for a few months for the state assembly. And, every place I've worked, there's been a good healthcare plan, sometimes a little better, sometimes a little worse. They've gotten a little more stingy over time. Back in the day when I was in my 20s, the plans covered almost everything. Now they they require a lot more cost sharing and stuff for obvious reasons because the costs have escalated to such a degree. Now, what causes these healthcare cost increases? There are many factors that contribute to it, but I would say the biggest one and most fundamental is the third-party payer system we have. That, in other words, it's not a product like a chocolate bar. Okay, you buy a chocolate bar, you don't have insurance. Oh, I need a chocolate bar. I have insurance for when I'm in the mood for a chocolate bar. And when I get the chocolate bar, insurance covers my chocolate bar. Okay, that's not how healthcare work. That's not how most products work. Healthcare is unique. So there's a third party payer, and the third party is not the one who consumes the goods. So the person making the choice for consumption is usually the one that profits from the choice. So, for example, if you go to your doctor and your doctor says to you, you need a cardiac God forbid anyone in the class ever does, but the doctor says you need a cardiac bypass operation. Somebody, let me say just somebody in general. And basically, what is the cost of a cardiac bypass? Anyone want to take a guess at that? I'll look it up on the web. You tell me what you think the cost is. What is the cost of a cardiac bypass operation? Anyone take a guess?
You got to be over 10,000 or around there.
Okay, anyone else could guess? Anyone else?
15,000.
Okay, I will read to you from Google.
40,000.
Okay, in 2021, the average cost of a heart bypass procedure in the United States amounted to $123,000.
Wow,
Okay,
that's a lot of money. That's
a
crazy.
lot of money, yeah. And the fascinating thing about that operation is that the rate is much lower in Canada than in the US.
I have a question, Professor.
Go ahead.
Say you need a life-changing surgery like right away. So, God forbid, like the surgery is performed, but you can't afford it. What happens?
Well, if you're about to die, the hospitals are obligated to do it.
Yeah, don't they put you on some type of list? Like,
It depends on the type of operation.
oh,
Okay, if you go into the hospital and your life is about to end, they're obligated to take action and then ask questions later. I don't know if they really do. Okay, they may find a way to avoid it, but if your life is under direct emergency threat, they're obligated to do that.
Well, yeah. What if you can't afford it though?
Then they go after you later, and that's why this idea of Obamacare, that was the whole motive for Obamacare, which was back, to me, it's yesterday, it was 13 years ago now. The problem was that uninsured people would not get treatment until it was life-threatening, and then get treatment and they would not pay. Okay, so they declare bankruptcy, or they just don't, they avoid, they change their address or whatever. And so they don't pay. And then who covers that cost? It's the people with insurance. So that's a contributing factor to the rising healthcare costs. Okay, this was discussed very heavily. So what Obamacare purported to do, what it aimed to do, was get everyone covered. And so the claim was that healthcare costs would increase less because everyone has coverage now, so that the cost dumping from the uninsured to the insured would go away. What happened was not that. Okay, what happened was the costs continued to go up a lot. So that was not the main driver of cost increases. But basically, it's now your obligation legally to be covered by insurance. So if you're not covered and you're working, then your company will be fined. And I think there's a fine for you also. So in other words, if you don't have insurance, you have to pay a fine. Let me just check that.
I think that's why they email me every week.
What's that?
I think that's what they email me every week, like to pick up a benefit plan. And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, I see. No, it ended. I'm wrong. The fee for not having health insurance, the shared responsibility payment or mandate ended in 18, ended 5 years ago. So this means you no longer have to pay a tax penalty for not having coverage. But for a while they did. But in any case, if you're working and your employer doesn't have it, they have to pay a fee, I'm pretty sure, for not having health coverage. A penalty of 2,970 per full-time employee minus the first 30 will be incurred if the employer fails to offer minimum essential coverage to 95% of its full-time employees. So basically, the people who aren't insured are going to be people who don't have jobs or people who are on welfare, that sort of thing. And those people will usually be eligible for Medicare. So not Medicare, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing, Medicaid. So usually if you're not able to get insurance from an employer because you're chronically unemployed or can't work or whatever, you'll usually be eligible for Medicaid. So you should be able to get coverage one way or the other. But I have no doubt that there are people who are self-employed and who don't really care, and they maybe even don't pay their taxes, so they don't worry about the penalty and so on. They have their own firm and they don't buy insurance, or their employer just pays the penalty and they don't get it. So there are people who are not covered, and these people will continue. If it's life-threatening, then the hospital is supposed to treat them and then worry about coverage. Whether they actually do that in practice, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yep. I was just curious about what happens if
Yeah, I would not want to not have health insurance. Okay, not having health insurance puts you at a huge risk, in my opinion. I once had, when I was a benefits manager, I worked for this bank, City Federal, and I didn't usually talk to the employees. I was doing more designing the plans and but at one point someone was away. I had to cover for somebody or something like that, and so this employee talked to me, and she somehow she told me that she didn't want to have the company health insurance. They had this incredibly good health plan there that you paid only a tiny amount for. It was worth a huge amount of money. And she said to me, "I don't want the health insurance." I said, "What? You got to get health insurance." And she said, she said to me, I was fascinated by this answer. She said to me, oh, buying health insurance is like people who are afraid to drive a car because they're afraid of accidents, or flying an airplane because they're afraid of a crash. Buying health insurance is I said to myself, God, this person's out of her mind. But she didn't get it. And when you're young, you don't need it as much. You could go maybe for years without it. Sooner or later, you're going to need it. So, I understand how someone who's 22 may say I can skip it for a few years, but I would get it no matter what. You never know what will happen.
Professor, for the life insurance, right? I've always been curious. What is IUL? And what's the difference between that and term life?
Okay, IUL. I'm looking it up on the web. I have no idea. Indexed Universal Life Insurance. Okay. So basically, this is a form of whole life. They used to call it whole life insurance. And the idea of, Asif, did you have a question also, or? Okay.
No, my question was answered. It's good.
Okay. So basically, the idea of whole life insurance, I was going to talk about this later, but since you asked, I can talk about it now. So in most companies, they have what's called term insurance, like the group life plan is a term insurance plan. And what the idea of term insurance is that you just buy insurance. So, it's not very complicated. So insurance is just like a pool. And so everyone puts their money in a pool, and a few people die each year, and you put in enough to cover the anticipated cost of the number of people who die. How do they know how many are going to die? That's what actuaries do. Actuaries know the statistics, and they know exactly how many to expect to die, and they compute what the insurance is going to cost plus administration and so on. And so the term life insurance is just that cost, the cost of the insurance. So you put together a group of 50,000 people, and each one puts in a premium, and then a small percentage die, and the premium go to the families of those who die. That's term life insurance. Universal. Let me start with whole life insurance. So whole life insurance is where there's a savings element added to the insurance element. So let me draw this. It's easy to see on a graph. So basically, when you start out with whole life insurance, and so you start out with zero, then part of your premium goes into insurance. It's hard to write with this. Part of your premium goes into insurance, and part of your premium goes into a savings account. Okay, so over time, the savings part gets bigger and bigger, and the insurance part gets smaller and smaller. And so you build up equity in the insurance. Okay, I don't know if you ever saw the movie It's a Wonderful Life, starring James Stewart. I highly recommend it. It's a great movie for this time of year. It's a Wonderful Life, and in that movie, it's an old movie. It's from like the 1940s, before I was born. James Stewart at one point is under his uncle loses the bank's assets, and he has to go to the villain in the movie and ask him to borrow money. And the villain in the movie says, well, do you have any life insurance? And he says, yes, I do. I have it in my pocket. And he says, well, how much equity do you have in the life insurance? And he says, $500. And Mr. Potter says, $500, and you're asking me for 8,000. Boy, you're better off dead than alive. He said, so basically that's the idea. So, in the beginning, you're better off dead than alive as far as the insurance goes, not as far as life goes, but because I think I have it backwards here. Yeah, I have it backwards. So it's actually this one's the insurance, and this one's the savings. Well, whatever. The point is the percentage of the insurance goes down and the savings goes up. And so basically it's targeted so that it's 100% savings when you reach age 100. So the idea of a whole life policy is that you're saving and buying insurance at the same time. So the last of these that I'm going to talk about that you asked me is the universal, and that's the same thing as the whole life, except that instead of having a savings plan, they use a investment vehicle. So you're putting your money into an investment, and there's no fixed amount. So they project how much you would need to put in your investment account to achieve full insurance at that age, but it's going to fluctuate based on market returns. So, and you can put in as much as you want. You don't have to limit it to the insurance. So basically, it's an alternative way to save. Now, what I would suggest is there's a saying that my mother used to say. She was taught this at Hunter College in the 1940s. So I'm going to keep the tradition alive. It was 80 years ago or so. I'm going to keep the tradition alive and tell you guys the same saying. Buy term, invest the difference. Okay. That means if you need insurance, okay, and I would say what you need insurance until you have enough assets that your family will be safe if you're gone. So, like, the reason you would buy group life insurance is, let's say you're 22 years old and you have in the bank $6,000 saved. Well, that's not enough. If something, let's say there's a car accident or some horrible thing, then your family will have to fend for itself. So if you say, okay, well, how much do they need to survive? You might say, well, maybe they need 5 times earnings, or so they'll I'll put away enough so that they can live for 5 to 10 years on the insurance and have time to make other arrangements. Or maybe you want to have more than that. There are people who say, well, I would, I want to keep my kids funded until they finish college and pay for college. Then you might need 10 times your salary. But, of course, obviously the cost is going to go up as you buy more insurance. So, think of how much you need to keep your family secure. It could be enough to cover the mortgage. It could be enough to cover the mortgage plus pay for living expenses for 5 years. So you need to think about how much coverage you actually need and then buy the appropriate amount. When I first was married in my 40s, I bought some insurance because my wife at that time didn't work. And I didn't have, we both had some assets, but not huge. And so I bought some additional insurance. I terminated it at a certain point. Right now, I have, more in my personal account than I had at that time in insurance. So, you reach a certain point in life where you don't need insurance at all. Life insurance, I'm talking about. So, you have to ask yourself, what is my asset base relative to my family's needs if I'm gone? And then think about buying enough coverage to provide for that. So I would say the best way to invest now, you could say, well, universal life is a form of that because what they're saying is you're buying insurance and then investing extra money. Now, this is a complicated question, whether to go with universal life or some other method, and we don't really have this time to discuss it here. We're running out of time, but basically, there's some huge advantages to insurance, and then there's some huge disadvantages. And so you got to figure out what the advantages are and what the disadvantages are. One advantage is that it's free of estate tax. So if you get insurance, that's not covered by estate tax. So let's say you have an estate of $1 million. So you buy term and you invest the difference. So let's say you're 65 and you buy insurance to cover your death and then add to it this universal life element. The money your heirs get out of that universal life won't be covered by New York State estate tax. Okay, and I believe you don't have to pay capital gains taxes while it's in the fund. I'm not sure, but I believe that to be the case. So there's some huge tax advantages to having life insurance rather than other kinds of savings. The huge disadvantage of life insurance is that the fees are a lot higher. So you have to pay for like the insurance salesman and other things. So that's why a lot of people say buy term, invest the difference, because you save on the fees that the insurance companies charge you. So you should be very, very conscious of the fees, especially for the initial year or two of the premium. They sock you with very, very high fees initially. So you need to be conscious of that. So I would say I'm not an opponent of insurance. Of life insurance. I have no stake in it. For me, it wouldn't be appropriate. For you, it might be. And I would say for you, term insurance would probably be the best thing. And if you want to invest money, do it through your set up an online broker, E-Trade, or some such thing, Ameritrade, whatever, and buy stocks and mutual funds through the electronic broker because there's no fees. Okay, so that's the answer. So I've just kind of gone. The only other thing I would add about group life insurance is that it is somewhat taxable when the employer buys it for you. So the first 50,000 is tax-free, and then you pay tax. Now, in contrast, health insurance, the big one, is non-taxable, and there's no better benefit than health insurance. In pensions, you get a tax break when you put the money in. It's tax exempt, and you don't pay tax on the returns. So if you put your money into the tech fund in your 401k and it goes up 50% and then you sell it, you don't pay a capital gains tax on that. You trade it for like the bond fund or whatever. You don't pay a capital gains tax on that. However, when you take that money out, you do pay tax. You pay income tax. And so, it depends what tax bracket you're going to be in. And you're betting that the tax rates in 20 years won't be higher than they are now. I don't know what they will be. I'm not saying they'll be higher or lower. I'm not saying 20 years either. It could be for you guys 45 years or 50 years. Who knows what the tax rates are going to be in 50 years. So, you're going to eventually have to pay tax. That's a long time from now. And so in the meantime, you're probably better off putting your money into a pension fund, 401k account where it's tax-free. You could do the same with insurance, to be fair. So that's an alternative. But the thing is, with the 401k, you never pay income tax on that money. It's deducted without you're paying tax on it. So like if you make 50,000 a year and you put 10% of that into your 401k, your income for tax purposes is 45,000. Okay, so it reduces your tax liability, and that's a big advantage. You're not going to pay income tax on that thing till you reach retirement age, which could be for you 70 or 73 even. So basically, it's going to be a long time till you pay tax, and I think that's probably the best plan. Health insurance, though, is even better because health insurance, you never pay tax on it. You don't pay tax on the contributions to pay for it. You don't pay tax when you get the benefit. You never pay tax on that thing. So and that's why I say the third party system coupled with this non-taxability of health insurance has caused employers to put a lot more money into health insurance than they would otherwise. And so Americans have consumed an excessive amount of health services because of the absurd reason that there's a tax exemption. It's like the tail is wagging the dog. I mean, the tax exemption has stimulated a lot of spending. So third party payers are gonna in themselves create more spending. So like if I say to you, you can Hershey bars, chocolate bars are a natural right. You have a right to chocolate bars. So I will pay for your chocolate bars. Eat as many as you like. And I will pay for them. Now, if in that system, you're going to eat more chocolate bars than you would if you have to pay $1 for each chocolate bar. Okay, so it's the same thing with health insurance, that we live in a world where the government has said or not the government, the companies have said we're going to cover your health insurance, but you decide how much health insurance to buy. And it's a combination of you and your doctor, and usually most people just do what their doctor says, and they don't even think about it. So basically, what this tax system has done is it's given control of spending on healthcare to the beneficiary. It's kind of like if you take your car into a mechanic and you say to them, well, I want your advice. What should I fix? And the mechanic then, looks for stuff to fix. It's going to be a whole different cost than if you know about cars and you know exactly what the mechanic should fix. And the truth is that when people take their cars into mechanics, 19 times out of 20, they charge you more than they should have. The reason I say that is that I once saw a thing on television where the news channel went to 20 mechanics and only one of the 20 did a fair estimate of the cost. So basically, what they've done is like put the mechanics in charge of fixing the car. They put the doctor in charge of the healthcare. And so, of course, you're not paying for it. The doctor decides. It's a system that's bound to lead to a lot of waste. And that's what has occurred. There's no question. So our healthcare costs in America are higher than in other countries. Now, what's the difference? In other countries, there's the third party payer, or there's a socialized medicine, one or the other. Neither system works that well. Okay, it's not like it's paradise in Canada. There's problems. My wife hails she lived in Germany for 35 years. And, I asked her about it when she came here. And she said, she was self-employed there and she bought private insurance. She bought the same kind of insurance we had because the public plan sucks, basically. So if you do the public plan, you got to wait for everything. So she bought the health. Most people can't afford it, so they accept, not great care. The care is not great because you have to wait. And there's waiting times for everything. Basically, that cardiac bypass, you won't get those in Germany. Now that might be good or it might be bad. I'm not sure. But basically, the studies have found that American doctors are much more likely to prescribe cardiac bypasses, and the insurance companies are much more likely to approve them, in part because they don't have the information, than they are in Canada. So basically, what they have in Canada and Germany is the third single payer third party. So who's the single payer? It's the government insurance plan. So the government will pay, but they will establish rules for when they're going to reimburse. And that puts a lot of controls on the providers to stay within those standards. The thing is that the standards may be lower than what you would like. So it could be, for example, that you feel you need a cardiac bypass, you're having trouble breathing or something, and they say, well, it's true, but it's really not bad enough that you need it, and so they won't give it to you. And so, anytime you establish a single payer, there's going to be rationing, and this is the lie in this discussion. I don't mind if you admit it and say, okay, well, we favor rationing. I don't like when people say there's no rationing in a single payer system. There is rationing by definition. Okay, so I like when discussions are honest and you can make rational decisions. I don't like when discussions use words in deceptive ways in order to bamboozle people or fool them or whatever. So basically, there's always going to be rationing in a single payer third party. It's more so if you have socialized medicine. The difference is that in socialized medicine, the state provides all the medical care. So there's only one provider. In Canada, there's multiple providers, but there's one big payer. One of the advantages in such systems is that there's usually a way to buy private insurance. You can in the UK too, where there's socialized medicine in the UK, but if you're rich, you can afford private insurance, but most people aren't that rich. So basically, we've had this terrible situation where the plans are inducing excessive spending on healthcare in the US. So we have very, very high healthcare costs. Sometimes people say, a lot of times people say, well, our mortality rate is average, but we spend the most. The thing is, not all care is related to mortality. So, for example, if you have a bad hip, you can have a hip operation. I'm not recommending you do, but or don't. I don't know, but they can backfire. There can be problems with them. In Canada, they won't do that for you. So you won't get that operation. In America, you can get it, and the company will pay for it. The thing is, it doesn't really extend life. So you can get treatment that improves your quality of life that doesn't extend life, and much medical care doesn't. For example, just as a small example, I suffer from I guess call it a disease called gout. Gout is a form of arthritis that comes from your digestive system. It doesn't totally digest something called it doesn't digest uric acid, and so it gets into your blood system, and so purines, it's called. It doesn't digest purines, so the uric acid doesn't get in. It causes the uric acid has like little molecules that are like crystals, and they get stuck in your joints, and it's extremely painful. It doesn't affect your life expectancy, but you'll live a lot of your time in pain if you have it. So there's a simple treatment for it. I think pretty much anywhere in the world you can get the drug for it. It's called allopurinol, and it works very well. There's no side effects that I know of, and it works very well. But my point is just that allopurinol does not extend your life. Okay, it just makes your life better. And so this thing that, well, we spend more, but our life expectancy isn't longer, that's not really, that's sort of a non sequitur. And so you have to look at a lot of questions about what affects life expectancy. And I think overall, the thing that really hurts American life expectancy is two things: lifestyle choices and income inequality. And you put those two together and there's a lot of variability in life expectancy in the US, much less so in other countries. And I think that's a lot of the problem there. But in any case, getting back to the health insurance, let me just talk about it for a few minutes, and I'll let you go. There's two basic kinds of health insurance. You could call it the prepaid and the insured. Okay, and the prepaid is where it's like an HMO type situation. Okay, HMOs are an arrangement where a company hires a bunch of doctors and then recruits patients from employers who choose this HMO. The company pays a fixed amount into the HMO, and the HMO then is responsible for all health care for the following year. Okay, and the HMO assumes the risk that healthcare costs will be below their budget. If the healthcare costs are above their budget, then the HMO will be dead. And if it happens for a long time, they'll go bankrupt. So basically, the HMO has to be run in a cost-efficient way. There are different types of HMOs. There's clinics. When I was a kid, my parents, this was before the HMO Act of 1972. What the HMO Act of 1972 did was it said that an HMO that notices that there are 25 employees of an employer in a zip code area can contact the employer and require that the employer offer that HMO if the employer doesn't already have an HMO. So it basically, the HMO Act opened the door for employers to give HMOs and basically made it almost mandatory. Well, they went down in quality after that. I don't want to go into that too much, but when I was a kid, my parents belonged to something called the Health Insurance Plan, which I think still exists, HIP. And they got very good care. They would, the company sponsored it, and we went for all our medical care, but you had to go to the clinic. So it was a clinic type. Other HMOs are individual practitioner types that are tied together by the HMO, but you get like a list of doctors and you're prepaid, but you have you could have like a port of entry doctor, a main doctor who then refers you to the other doctors. Insured plans are a little different. They're the more classical type of plan. Well, that's not true, because actually the first type of insurance plan was Blue Cross, and that was established. When I say first type, I mean medical insurance plan. The Blue Cross was established at Baylor University in the 1930s, and the idea was that the school would pay local hospitals in advance in exchange for a fixed number of hospital days. So Blue Cross covered hospitalization, and I think the idea was that Baylor has a medical school, and so they probably were sending their employees to the medical school for treatment on a day, on their medical part. but they needed a hospital to send them to. And so also they may not have lived near the Baylor Hospital and so on. So they prepaid with the local hospitals. You can go to any hospital. Maybe the hospital wasn't big enough at Baylor or something. So they told the other hospitals, we'll pay you a fixed amount if you take our employees. And they later, Blue Shield was added surgical benefits. And so that's where you have your medical care. So Blue Cross hospitalization, Blue Shield. At CUNY, we have Blue Cross. We have the city plan. I do anyway. We also have HMOs and stuff. I have Blue Cross plus the city plan for coverage. And so basically the city plan, GHI emblem, it's called, is an insured plan. And that's a little different. It's not prepaid. So it's just, you go to the doctor files a claim with the insurance company and they reimburse the doctor. It could be you pay the doctor and then they reimburse you or whatever, either way. So basically in this insured plan thing, the insurance company started out with, there would be like a fixed amount. They would say like $50 for an arm. In those days, that's how much a broken arm cost. If you break your arm, $50. If you sprain your ankle, $10. If you know, they would have a whole list of things, and whatever it was, they would tell you what the cost was. And that kind of scheduled benefit went out the window. Probably were in the 1960s or so, but they still existed. I remember seeing them around. The way that most plans were set up in the 1960s were like comprehensive plans. And so in a comprehensive plan, there's a deductible and you're responsible, it's just like a car insurance. You're responsible up to the deductible. And then there's co-insurance. So usually in a lot of places, it'll be 20%. It could be 10%, 90%, or 30%, 70%, but you pay 20% and the company pays 80%. Okay. In a lot of places, there'll be a cap. So at the cap, you no longer have to pay. So let's say they'll say the cap could be like $5,000 out of pocket. So that means $5,000 out of pocket means that you've spent $25,000 in coverage. After the first $25,000 in cost, then it's capped and the company pays all. Okay. After which the company pays all. Okay. Then most companies, or a lot of companies, I don't know about most, but a lot of companies now have lifetime maximums. So sometimes they'll have annual maximums. So you're like for my prescription drug, there's like an annual maximum, and you're covered up to the annual maximum, and then after that you have to pay. And in a lot of places they'll say $2 million lifetime maximum. So if your total claims in your life in the company exceed 2 million, then they're going to wash their hands of it. Now, of course, if you're worried about that, you can get like from Aflac and other employers. I have at CUNY, there's a catastrophic plan I pay a little bit out of pocket for. When my wife was dying, my wife had cancer, and I called them. I don't want to go into the story; it's too painful. But I called them, and they said, they explained to me how to file the complaint for a claim for the catastrophic. I'm not going into the rest of it; it's just too much, too emotional. So basically, that's how insured plans work. Now, the insured plans lend themselves to this overspending thing. So there have been a lot of ways that companies have tried to contain costs. All right. And this is a big area, healthcare. They were never able to do it. But one of the ways they've done it, they've tried to do it, is to raise the deductible, like shift costs to the employees. And then extend the cap on the co-insurance or raise the co-insurance. They also did a lot of things to try to contain costs. Now, you know, so it eliminated some of the waste and benefit in hospitals, but it did not solve the problems. One of the ideas was similar. They sort of set up their own version of socialized medicine. I said before, or rather, single payer approach called diagnostic related groups. And in diagnostic related groups, the insurance company tells the hospitals, we will pay this much for this thing. You know, if you have a stomach ailment, we'll let you have a week in the hospital. If you have a heart attack, we'll give you 3 weeks in the hospital. And the hospitals given a bonus if they let people out sooner. They're given the full amount if they let them out on time, and they're given less if they stay longer. So it created, you know, the whole health system is like this. It created a crazy system where the hospitals try to game the diagnostic related group categories and admit people for things that maximize the stay rather than accurately reflect a diagnosis. You can see from that alone how bizarre the healthcare system is. One last thing, you know, the issue of rising healthcare costs is a very complex question. The third-party payer issue is very important, but it's only one of many, many explanations as to how to handle it. And just to tell you one last thing, so one of the ways, given the healthcare costs, HMOs were proposed as a way to contain costs, but that didn't really work. One of the ways, the ways are called preferred provider organizations, or PPOs, and point of service plans. And the idea is that you sign up a bunch of docs and you tell them, we will pay you this amount per patient visit, and it'll be somewhat less than the market. All right. And so they agree to it because they want patients. So they're then in the network and you get paid full reimbursement. Their payment is a little lower. Now, if you're out of the network, then the plan will pay less, and but the doctor might charge you more. So the employees are gonna opt for you know, the in-service, you know, in-plan doctors. So one other thing I forgot to mention, dental plans. I'll just briefly mention them. There's two basic kinds. A lot of places no longer have dental plans. As companies have become more cost conscious, the benefits have declined. Dental plans can be either the kind where they give you a full benefit for cleaning and x-rays, but they give much less or even nothing for operations like root canals. And you guys probably don't care about root canals and stuff at my age. I've had a few of them by now. It becomes more important as you get older. And they cost a few $1,000s. I mean, you know, it is something. So basically, you know, if you have the kind of plan where there's like an across the board, you know, co-insurance, and they cover the medical, you know, the root canals and endodonty and you know, braces and all that kind of thing, then there'll be more coverage for the emergency stuff. All right, I could talk a lot more about benefits. I could teach a whole semester just on benefits. So, you know, I could talk forever on it. But basically, I covered some of the main points. And next week is Thanksgiving, so we have the week off. I'll take a look at your discussion boards. Those of you who haven't done the presentation yet, please have it for next time. And I'll make a copy of this. I'll send the link around. And
Wait,
I'll
we
see
don't
you
have
in
class next week?
2 weeks. No class next week.
Well, oh, no class. Okay. Thank you.
Professor,
Next week is Thanksgiving break,
Professor,
so enjoy your turkey.
Professor,
Yes,
can you resend the document to this email address for me, please? Because it hasn't come through and
okay.
I'm afraid I don't want to come off and not have it.
Oh dear, okay, it sounds like risk aversion.
Yes.
Okay,
Professor,
yes.
you didn't grade the $2 trillion question discussion board yet?
Oh, I didn't? I thought I had done that. Okay, I'll look.
Okay.
Professor?
Oh, maybe I didn't put the grades up. I think maybe let me just look for a second. Oh, the grades aren't posted. I did grade them. They're not posted there.
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, I'll look. Yeah, I have it here, but I'm not going to tell you. So I'll post it later.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Professor, so I'll just keep an eye out for that
Oh,
email.
yeah.
I sent
Okay,
you,
here.
okay, I sent you my Gmail.
Got it.
Professor, and I sent you the benefits and the retirement thing. Maybe we can go over like our next class hopefully or something.
Yeah. You know what? We can do it when we come back after Thanksgiving. We'll do it.
Yeah, like next class.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that'll be
Thank you.
interesting.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too. Be well, everybody.
Professor?
Thank you,
Yes.
Professor. Have a good holiday.
Welcome.
I was gone for 2 weeks and I didn't get to present my informational interview one. I could
Oh, that we haven't done yet, but we were doing the SAS thing.
We haven't done informational interview presentations yet?
No.
All right, perfect. All right, perfect. All right
Okay,
then.
so we'll do that next time.
Yep. Happy holidays. Have a good one.
You too, everyone.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you.
So we need to come out the shower. Professor, did you send that to me?
I did.
Okay, let me double check. Thank you.
See you later, Professor.
See ya. Have a good holiday.
It hasn't come through yet.
Hold on, be patient for 1 second. It'll send there.
Sure.
I'm sending it.
Okay, I thought you sent it already.
I did send it, but I didn't send it. My email
Got
has
it.
2
I
steps.
got
I
it.
send it,
I
and
got
then I
it.
have to click send receive.
I got it, Professor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you, Professor. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye now.